Once you've cleared out the picnic area, it's time to proceed into the depths. You've got two ways you can go. You've got the obvious way, which requires you to drop down through one of these arches and go through the little door there. You've then got the non-obvious and shorter way, which requires you to come down here where the chef was, go round or through their table, through these little boxes, and drop down this hole. Now, the reason for taking this route, apart from it being quicker if you don't feel like exploring the whole of the depths, is that it allows you access to a useful item. Now, if you're starting as a bandit class, you don't need to do this because you already have access to the item. You started with it. It's the spider shield, which is over there. And the other thing you'll notice here is the mother of all rats. But first, the spider shield. The reason we want the spider shield is because any attacks that you block with it will not do poison build-up if they had poison. So as long as you manage to block, whilst it doesn't add to your base poison resist, if you manage to block the attack, you take no build-up at all. So let's swap to it now, because it should probably come as absolutely no surprise that rats do poison damage. So a bit of hesitation there because I've been playing lots of Dark Souls 2 and the menus are slightly different. So the spider shield, let's look at its stats. As you can see, it's not as stable, but it has 100 physical resist, which is the important bit. And since what we're after more is its poison resist, we're going to equip it. So this giant rat, you're probably looking at this and going, my god, that's a huge rat. It is fortunately relatively simple to fight, and the reason we are going to fight it rather than just jumping down and running for safety is because we need this item on that corpse there, because that's the key to the bonfire room, and the other item is just a soul. So your best way, if you don't want to fight the rat, you can stand up here and you can soften it off with ranged weapons. Now you could do the entire thing from here, that's kind of boring, and but it is possible and it is safe. The other thing is, if you can land it right, you can jump attack him. Now if all of that fails and you find yourself in difficulties with the rat, you can run past, to the end of its chamber, and you've got this little doorway here, which the rat obviously can't get down. However, and you do not want to run a long way down, because down here is a hole, and down the hole is the bad place. We'll explore the bad place later, once we've unlocked the bonfire. This rat is just going to stand here, it's not actually going to go for us. But for now, we're back to finishing off Mama Rat. There she is, as you can see. Quite a bit of poison. Probably want to back off at this stage. You don't want to actually get killed by it. That'd just be embarrassing. It's got about 1,000 hit points. It can, like all rats, it can drop humanity. This is a good place of farming humanity until you get to somewhere in the DLC. I'll show you a nice efficient route round once we've opened up the rest of the level. But for now, all we want to do is get this item. We ignore these rats for now and come to the water slide. Right, now as you may be able to tell from the spray, jumping down the water slide down the middle is a bad idea. Once again, that leads to the bad place. Instead, come to the edge, drop off, hug the left hand side, and you just slide to safety. Well, as safe as Dark Souls get. If you took this route, this is your first introduction to slimes. As you can see, slimes do not take a lot of damage from physical weapons. Fortunately, they're pretty vulnerable to fire. There's another slime on the roof, so you just want to stay away until you hear it gloop. Down. And there it is. Now the slimes can drop green titanite, which is an item used to upgrade fire weapons and faith weapons, I believe. Kill the rats. Now this other rat has run up here, and this leads to the boss arena. And also down here, the other thing of interest is Domhall of Zima. He's a merchant. He'll give you plot stuff if you talk to him.
I'm Domhall of Zima. I'm just a peddler or so. I adore trinkets and oddities, so I trade for them. I'm afraid I don't see anything here.
If you talk to him after buying things, like this gold pine resin, he'll give you plot stuff.
Well, I'm certain we will make it. So, if you seek anything in the catacombs, use divine weapons.
Or more gameplay hints rather than plot stuff. He sells armour. This is his own suit. Now the interesting thing about this armour is the helmet looks ridiculous, but it's...
No, not to worry. Come back again. I'm always available. Not every trade is meant to be. There'll be more in store for us someday, sometime.
I like him, he's so cheerful. Yeah, sorry, other thing, whilst the helmet looks ridiculous, it's actually based on one that was given to, I believe, Henry VIII and can be seen at the Leeds Armouries. And as you beat some bosses, he'll start selling armour that's based on what the bosses had, either the boss's actual armour or, in the case of some future bosses, just stuff that looks a bit like them. But for now we can't afford anything else from him, so we're going to move on. These things, the main feature is the helm and the tunic have reasonably decent curse resist for everything else, but on the whole this suit isn't that great. But it does look quite nice.
But no matter. No.
This door is the door to the next area, Blighttown. Obviously you get its key from visiting the boss. Talking of the boss, as I said, he's up here. Just going to explore and loot the gate of the arena. So this entire area is your boss arena, not the crenellations, not the ramparts, but everything else. And you may have noticed, just heard some spell casting start up. That's because up in the balcony there's another one of the sorcerers, like the one we saw in the parish. However you approach the boss room, whether direct from the top or by going the long way around, you are going to want to kill this guy before you fight the boss, or he will buff the boss. You can hit him with arrows, which with an unupgraded bow might take a little bit of time, but it's doable. And again, if you hit him in the head, he'll be stunned. I can't remember. I'll be honest, I can't remember exactly where everything is here. Is it round? No, the other thing I'm looking for is down the next level. Now, if you're a human, you'd see Soler's sign here and Lautrec's around here. However, unlike a lot of other bosses, this one is actually made harder by the presence of Soler and Lautrec, because they don't deal with his attacks very well, and he's very predictable if you're fighting him on his own. If you start adding other people in, unless they're players who mostly know what they're doing, it gets messy. And here you have a heavy crossbow and some heavy bolts. Nothing special. And the actual boss fog is down here, down these little steps. To our right we have the exit from the bad place if you had the misfortune to fall into it from up there, or obviously the way in if you're coming into it from down here. Up these little stairs we have a door. This is a shortcut door, which is through here you'd see the rat. Here is the other route through the level. And up here on the left is the bonfire room. Okay. The other reason for taking the short route to start with is that it's actually a lot easier to fight the rat from above if you approach it from above than it is if you approach it through the side tunnels. But what you're here to ask about is the bonfire. And here we are. Right, we're now going to homeward bound back to Firelink, and I'll rejoin you in the picnic area so I can show you how that bit goes. With the picnic area clear, it's time to drop down and go through the little door into the depths through the long route. Here we have some deep water and treasure. And this is the first lesson you get in sometimes looking up. If you get grabbed by a slime like that, hammer your shoulder buttons. It does actually make a difference in how long it takes you to break free, and why the I see it had a smidgen of health left. Oh, that was my camera trying to kill me, as if the monsters weren't good enough. Right, and you need to watch out for this torch guy because he walks a patrol route. But now that the slime is dead, we can actually get the treasure, which is kind of meh. It is possible to shoot the slime off the ceiling if you notice it. But enough of that. Moving on. Looking at the ceiling. They really did miss a chance to have you trapped by something below because you're too busy looking at the ceiling. Come down here, round into this corridor. And you may notice suspicious blobs on the ceiling. You can shoot them down if you want, or it'll take 1 hour to knock them down. But their hitboxes are a bit odd, so it might not actually be worth the hassle, because you can, as long as you keep moving. Got how short the range is on pyromancy unless you free aim it. Yes, I'm saying, so you've got options. You can shoot them down, or you can run past, and they'll drop below you. They should drop below you. Obviously they didn't in this case. If I hadn't already been the short way and unlocked the door, we would have run out of places to run. As it is, now we're here, let's just fireball these guys. one upgrade needed on my Pyranthi Flame, I think. Another thing you notice about combustion is how fast it fires. You can literally just sit there and spam your casting button. But I'm only doing that because I've got the bonfire open, which you won't have if you've taken the short route, the long route. But for now, so let's assume we haven't. Let's reset to how it would have been. So we've just explored the corridor of slime and killed this guy, and we're faced with a locked door. It's time to head down here. Probably notice the barrel of crates come down here, and again this door would be closed, which leaves us with one way to go. Which is down here. Now, these rats to the right kind of just run away from you. Don't let yourself get swarmed by them, because again, if you don't block in time, the poison build-up will cause you grief. And the item they're looking after is a great axe, which is big, heavy, and kind of basic. Along here, notice a little rat runs away from us, introducing us to this level's other surprises. Rats in a box. Okay, now you notice when the rat hit me, I took a bit of damage and I took poison build-up. However, you can just go and annoy a rat. See, when it strikes, no poison damage. Whereas if I was blocking with a different shield, even if I took no damage, I would take poison. I'll show you that with the other rats so you can see what I mean. Let's just change my shield back to my normal one. And annoy these rats. See? Even though I take no damage, they still take poison damage. And whilst these guys don't do a lot of poison build-up, there are things later on that do. Once you get down here, you can pick up the bonfire key from this side of the grate and unlock the bonfire. But let's assume we do that. So, we've leveled up a little bit, we've murder-rated the rats again, and it's time to explore this maze of twisty corridors all alike. Now, the major hazard here isn't so much the monsters as it is the holes in the floor, because they lead to the bad place. This fog door leads to the gallery above the boss chamber again. It's the place where the sorcerer was. Now that he's not here, all that we have are his pet rats. More rats in a box. Round here, right at the end of the balcony, is a large titanite shard. In case you didn't have any before you got the large ember, you could at least get one weapon up to +6. Now we're just going to trick. There's not much loot in these tunnels. As you can notice, this rat is running away. What it's trying to do is make us fall down into the bad place. This one is safe to run along. Now stop and listen. Hear that croaking? When you hear that noise, be very careful. Having got the loot from this section, your next options are either to go through the boss or explore the bad place. The safe way of entering the bad place is, as I said, it's a bit down there, down the water slide and to the left. However, having talked about it so much, it's time to explain why it's called, why I call it the bad place. Say you're running away from the rats or something, and you fall down this hole. You will end up here. You may notice this statue. You will almost certainly notice this terrifying fucking frog thing. And this terrifying fucking frog thing's mates, and the poison gas, and this little build-up, and then this might happen to you. You're cursed. Now, the bad thing about being cursed isn't so much that you're dead. It's that your hit points have halved. And the way to cure that is, as it says on the text, a purging stone or the aid of the healer in New Londo. Now, the problem with the healer in New Londo is at the point when you're likely to get cursed in the game, you are unlikely to have the resources or the skill to get to him, especially if it's your first playthrough. Fortunately, you can buy purging stones. Oswald the Pardoner sells them. And if you remember all the way back to the Gargoyles episode, I bought one. The other person who sells them is the mad old lady in the grate, but hers are twice the price of Oswald's. There we are. Hollow, but not cursed. And now it's time to show you the proper route into the bad place, or rather the safe route, and recover our souls and humanity. So, down to the lower section, whether it's via the shortcut door or the water slide. Now here you need to be careful of the rat swarm. Especially if you're still, say, cursed. Obviously, if you're cursed and you don't have a purging stone, you've got to make the trip back or farm enough souls. This is a good time to actually get up to Oswald and then pop soul items when you get there, rather than trying to farm. Alternatively, playing through on low health does make it all a lot more exciting. This rat runs away from us. Now, one of the tricks, as you remember I said in an early video, is if something is running away from you, don't follow it. And now we're going to play slowly and carefully. Because of the basilisks. Now, one of the ways to protect yourself fairly effectively against curse is to have liquid humanity, because that really does boost your curse resistance. So these mounds of goo, by the way, they're just disgusting. They don't actually do anything. But if you've been invaded by someone and they're using the chameleon spell, they will appear as a mound of goo. So it's a good idea to have a vague idea of which piles of goo should be here and which shouldn't. Up here. Now these guys are pretty fragile. And they drop an Eye of Death. This is used by members of the Gravelord Covenant, and what it lets them do is infect your world with supercharged copies of the existing monsters. And this, however, if you're on New Game, you'll get the warning that you've been invaded, and the Gravelord sign, which you use to invade their world, defeat them and get rid of the monsters, will appear. But the monsters themselves will not appear unless you're in New Game Plus. And this spiky looking thing, this is a player who got cursed. And they copy over to other worlds. So if you see a bunch of these about, be careful. It means something there can petrify you. So it can curse you. Here we have the pit of basilisks. As long as you can hear the croaking, you are not safe. Now, see what I mean about, you saw how short my curse bar was there. Now that I've got my humanity back, you see I have a lot more time before I'm actually cursed fatally. I mean, it's still not a good idea to hang about in this stuff, but it does give you a bit more time before everything goes wrong. So it's just time to finish the loot here. Around here we have the Ring of the Evil Eye. What this does is gives you a small portion of health back every time you kill an enemy. It's not as useful as it sounds, because the amount of energy you get back is pretty low. The other thing to be found around here is up here. Is a humanity. Obviously if you fall through there you end up falling in here and ending up in the basilisk pit again, which obviously if you haven't cleared it out from above makes life awkward. Once you've cleared everything out, it's time to head up. If you do get lost, this is a pretty small area, but if you do get lost, just follow left-hand rule and you'll find your way back out. There's one last thing to show you in this zone before we go and face the boss. And for that we're going to have to be human. So it's back up to the bonfire we go. And see, we already have 3 liquid humanities. We're not going to have to use up one of our humanity items. And also, whilst we're here, we're going to kindle the bonfire, because whilst we don't really need the extra 5 flasks in this area, they'll be really useful in the next. And as you can see, we're in level for summons, because here's some random person. Drake's sword and rapier. Now, in Dark Souls 1, dual wielding is more of a vanity thing than anything terribly useful. In Dark Souls 2, you actually get different moves if you're strong enough to use... If you've got enough strength and dexterity times 1.5 to use your weapons properly, then you get an extra set of moves. Now, if you've been playing Dark Souls, you've probably heard about invasions. And, well, no, you've seen invasions. You've seen invasions that happen in the parish. However, most players' first experience with an invasion will be as they come down here. Didn't drop anything. Let's deal with the rat swarm. Another thing I miss from Dark Souls 2, ragdolling. In Dark Souls 2, bodies don't ragdoll, but their weapons do for a little bit, which can be quite amusing. As you come round here, and you're wondering what the hell's going on with all these spiky statues. You will eventually get this message. Dark Spirit Knight Kirk has invaded. Now lots of people beat Knight Kirk and they're really, really pleased. Oh my god, where the fuck is he? because they think they've just beaten a player. Sadly, that's not the case. Knight Kirk's main party trick is he's got the spike. He causes bleed. He's got stupid spiky armor. That if he rolls around you, you will do more bleeding. Will do more damage. Now he's actually quite fast, and I'll be honest, I'm kind of out of practice with fighting him. But you'll notice he does fat roll, which you can use to his, and his poise isn't great. Kirk invades 2 more times in the game, and if you beat him, you get his armor, and he sometimes has a chance of dropping his own weaponry. In this case, the barbed sword, which is your basic sword. I believe it's got the broadsword moveset, but we'll check. And it does bleeding damage, which it's not bad. It's bleeding, but it's not upgraded, so it wouldn't be a good choice for us to swap to now. Yeah, it's got the broadsword moveset, so lots of swingy stuff. No thrusts at all. But it's as viable a weapon as any if you like it. And as I said, it does do bleeding, and it swings fast enough for it to actually proc. And it's boss time. There, Solheir's sign, and round the corner, Lautrec's sign. Now, this boss doesn't do poison damage, so we're going to swap back to our higher stability shield, and clear out our item slot. And go in. Now the Gaping Dragon looks terrifying. However, fortunately, it's very easy to predict. It's got a few basic moves. It'll curl up. If you're a long way away, it'll curl up and then charge. When that happens, you don't want to be in front of it or on the sides. It's also got a tail slam, but we're going to deal with its tail slam by cutting off its tail. There's its tail slam incoming. It's also got foot slams. And as always, don't expect the pillars to save you. They're just really there to get in your way. You do want to get the tail off, because not so much for the weapon it drops, but because it gets rid of a resource. Now, I was saying the Gaping Dragon he'll curl up and advance on you. At a certain point he'll slam down. And what you want to do is get far enough away from him that he slams down. Oh, he's also got this swoop. When he does that, just get away from his landing zone, really. Now when he goes down there, run to the side. Let him do his walk. Come around the bum. And get a couple of hits in. This is not a good weapon for fighting him. He sometimes does this sort of stamp thing. Now, the one thing to be aware of when you're running away is when you get to the edge here, there's a gap. You don't want to be run over by his feet. Once he lifts up, he might do that. So swing thing. And yes, if he slams down on you, he will chew you to bits. What I'll probably do is I'm going to, at some point, once we're done here, is try and demo that as a phantom. Now he's got one other move that he might not do. Okay, and that's what happens if you fuck up the run away from him flying. You get nearly squashed. That could have been a one-hit kill. With a bit less health, it would have been. When he's doing that, it's a good chance to get some extra hits in. It's got a bit of tracking before it starts running. That's what happens when you get run over by the Gaping Dragon. Now, because the Gaping Dragon is a dragon, he's kind of vulnerable to lightning. And there we are, the Gaping Dragon defeated, and for that we're rewarded with the Blighttown Key, Twin Humanities, a Homeward Bone, and 25,000 souls. This treasure here is the Warrior's starter set, so if you want to look like a warrior, there it is. Now, I actually like the look of it, but stats-wise, it's pretty poor. It's one of the heaviest sets of armor that doesn't give you any poise. And with the Blighttown Key, we can open the gate. Welcome to Blighttown. But before that, we're just going to go and upgrade stuff, level and so on, and this guy will move when we next rest. So join me next time as we venture into Blighttown. Okay, bonus content time. Hot rats. Now, earlier on in the episode, I said that there was a humanity farming route through here, which I'm now going to throw you. Come out of the bonfire room, turn right. Come through here. Kill these rats. Round here. Oh, let's swap. Round here. Prepare for the rat in a box. Round here. Kill the sorcerer's rats. Rats in a box. Don't bother with that one because if he dies he'll fall down. Here. If you're being really thorough, you can follow that rat. If you just want to get back to the bonfire and do another run, go around here and obviously back up to the bonfire. So there you are, the rat killing circuit.